Okay, we have three analysis to do in this chapter. We have competitive analysis, portfolio analysis, SWOT and TOS analysis to deal with. So we already discussed about competitive analysis and the 7 factors that affect competitive analysis. Portfolio analysis is one of the most important concepts in your book. There hasn't been a question paper, okay, without portfolio analysis questions. So therefore, first and foremost thing for understanding portfolio analysis, you need to understand 3 concepts. You need to understand the 3 concepts, which are, first up, you need to understand what is a strategic business unit. We have a small idea about strategic business unit. Picked up in the first chapter, right? So the key business are termed as strategic business units. Then apart from that, we need to understand something called as experience curve. Learning curve or experience curve is a theory. Learning curve or experience curve is a theory where repeatedly while you do the same work, you end up gaining more expertise, right? And then 3, you have a concept of product life cycle. We will understand all these 3 concepts first, and then we will discuss about, we will discuss further about what portfolio analysis is all about, right? But this can be done. Remember always, if there's only one product in business, all your 100% is towards that product only. So there's no second thought about it. But portfolio analysis is applicable only to multi-product or multi-business units. It's only applicable to multi-product or multi-business. If only one is the product, then there is nothing. All the money you have will be allocated. Now, if I have 100 rupees, I have 4 products, how to allocate? That will be the question. When I have to allocate. But if there is only one product and no multi-product, then what is the reason of my allocation and all that? So everybody, right, let's concentrate on trying to understand what are some of the basics of portfolio analysis, and then we will see what those analysis speak of, right? Come on, everybody, start off reading the first paragraph. There is a business portfolio. What is a business portfolio? A business portfolio is a collection of businesses. Underline, it's a collection of businesses. Business portfolio is a collection of businesses and products that make up to the company. The best business portfolio is the one. The best business. So is there something called a best portfolio? Actually no, but the best business portfolio is the one that caters to both, right? The best business portfolio is the one that best fits the company's strength and weaknesses to opportunities and threats. So we have internal environment. What do we have? So we have internal environment. Internal environment and external environment. We have 2 things here. In internal environment, we have our own strengths and weaknesses. Strength and weakness. While in external, we have opportunities and threats. How to strike a balance between these, right? This balance, how do you establish, is what this entire concept is all about. Let's see how we are going to do that. Portfolio analysis can be defined as a set of techniques. Can be defined as what? Set of techniques that help strategists in taking strategic decisions with regard to individual products or businesses in a firm's portfolio. It is primarily used for competitive analysis. Underline, primarily used for competitive analysis. It is primarily used for competitive analysis and corporate strategic planning. It is primarily used for competitive analysis and corporate strategic planning in multi-product and multi-business firms. In order to design the business portfolio, the business must analyze its current business portfolio and decide which business should receive more, less or no investment. So if I have my money, in which business? Now you have 4 businesses. This should receive more, this should receive less. There's no investment. I will decide all that. Portfolio analysis. Get it? Underline, which business should receive more, less or no investment. Depending upon the analysis, businesses may develop growth strategies for adding new products or businesses to the portfolio. So you want to add a new business to the portfolio, you want to remove an existing business from the portfolio. All these are pretty much dependent on what? All these are pretty much dependent on the analysis that you make now. So if your analysis states that, yes, it is good to invest in a business, you will continue to invest in the business. Otherwise, you'll be like, no, right? Check it out. There are three important concepts that are the prerequisite. Prerequisite means basics, right? So you need to know these three concepts to know anything and everything in portfolio analysis. Let's deal with it. First one, SBU. What is an SBU? Analyzing portfolio may begin with identifying key businesses. Analyzing portfolio may begin with identifying key businesses, which are also termed as, underline, strategic business units. What are strategic business units, guys? Key businesses. The concept of SBU is nothing but what? Analyzing a portfolio may begin with identifying the key businesses, which are also termed as strategic business units. SBU is a unit of the company. SBU is a unit of the company that has a separate mission and objectives. SBU is a unit of the company that has a separate mission and objectives, and which can be planned independently from other company businesses. The SBU can be a company division. The SBU can be a company division, one particular division. SBU can be a company division. A product line. SBU can be a company division, product line within a division, or even a single product or a brand. Underline, even a single product or a brand. When can you call something an SBU? If it has the three characteristics right now that we are going to discuss, then we will call it a SBU. What are the three characteristics? It is a collection of related businesses, or it's a single business, which is key. It has its own set of competitors, and it has a manager who is responsible for the profits of the division. Right? What is an SBU? It follows, it's a key business. Follows three characteristics. And what are those? It's a single business. It's a single business or collection of related businesses. Collection of what? Related businesses. And second point is talking about what? Second point talks about has own set of competitors. It has its own set of competitors. And lastly, it has a manager. Has a manager who is responsible. Has a manager who is responsible for profits. Are you understanding? That's the point. Everybody catch up. After identifying the SBU, the business have to assess their respective attractiveness and decide how much support each SBU deserves. More or less, what is it all? Everybody, are you understanding or not? Good. I'm giving you a small task to read experience curve, because I believe you know this concept somewhere from costing, which relates to efficiency. Please catch up. It's not a very difficult thing. When you repeatedly do the same work, what happens? Proficiency of that work will increase, and your efficiency levels also go up. Eventually, when your efficiency levels go up, the time taken per unit will come down. When time taken per unit will come down, cost also will come down, which leads to what? Reduction in the per unit cost of production. Experience curve. What is the experience curve? Let's deal with this. Come on. What about it? What is an experience curve? Small paragraph. Everybody, read it. What is an experience curve? It's an important concept used for applying a portfolio approach. The concept is akin. Akin means similar to that of a learning curve. Akin to a learning curve means similar to learning curve. What does it say? What does it talk about? Which explains the concept of efficiency increase. So, in experience curve, we are talking about what? Efficiency increase. It's about efficiency increase gained by workers through repetitive productive work. So, when you do the same productive work repeatedly, your efficiency will improve. Experience curve is based on a common phenomena that per unit cost will decline. When per unit cost will decline as the firm accumulates experience. Per unit cost will decline as a firm accumulates experience in terms of accumulative volume of production. Per unit cost will come down. Yes or no? Experience curve results from variety of factors. Experience curve results from a variety of factors such as learning effects, economies of scale, product redesign, and technological improvements in the production. Experience curve results from a variety of factors such as learning effects, economies of scale, product redesign, and technological improvements in the production. What's the last concept in here? Product life cycle. Guys, I think we discussed this already. Tell me, what are the stages that I told you? Introduction, growth, maturity. Fantastic. We already know this from that piece. So we are now talking about what? The product's life cycle. PLC is essentially an S-shaped curve. It will follow 4 stages. Introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Everybody concentrate. Another important concept in strategic choice is that of the product life cycle. It is useful concept for guiding a strategic choice. Essentially, a product life cycle outline is an S-shaped curve. Essentially, product life cycle is an S-shaped curve. Which exhibits the relationship of sales with respect of time for a product that passes through 4 successive stages of introduction, namely introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. In the introduction means when you introduce a product, then that will grow. Then there's a dull phase where it stabilizes, maturity, and then from there it starts falling. Right? Introduction, growth, maturity, and decline are the 4 stages involved in the product life cycle. It starts somewhere, you can see there, starts somewhere here and goes up. It's a it's an S-shaped curve. It starts the introduction, goes up on curves, a growth pattern. Somewhere it flattens up here and then it comes down. Right? We all know about something like, Maruti 800. It's one of the best cars at a point in time. Right? Because that was the only car that available. Right? So it went on. Can you look at the picture? So, when your business is on decline here, would you want to sell that off and go to something else? That's what it is. So, a combination of strategies like selective harvesting, retrenchment. We will discuss all those concepts in detail, but underline selective harvesting, retrenchment, etc. may be adopted for declining businesses. In this way, a balanced portfolio of business may be built up by exercising a strategic choice on the product life cycle concept. Please go through all these 3. Right, we are going to see 4 concepts now. The Boston Consulting Group matrix, the Ansoff product growth matrix, ADL matrix, and of course the General Electric model. Now, considering the facts, one of these 4 are definitely going to be there in your question paper. So, I want everybody to have 100% concentration. They're very interesting, very simple concepts as such. Right? Portfolio analysis number 1. Right? Boston Consulting Group Boston Consulting Group is a big name in the, management arena, right? One of the dream companies for a lot of MBA professionals to work. Boston Consulting Group has come up with a portfolio analysis. It's called the BCG matrix. What is it called as? BCG matrix. Now, let me first explain, then we can read up. Everybody concentrate. So, we are taking two parameters here. Always remember, we will be on the base axis when we compare, when we see our factors, and whatever market factors are there, they will always be on the vertical axis because that's what you are comparing with. You compare like this, you put yourself on the base and compare, right? So, like I said, market is always on the y-axis and we are also on the x-axis, market share. Now, sir, what are the factors that they're trying to compare? Now, here, a lot of SBUs are there. Which one should receive attention? Which one should not receive attention? That was the question, right? To answer that question very clearly, here we are taking two factors. Market growth. We're taking market growth. We're also taking relative market share. What do you mean by the word relative market share? That means in the entire market, what is our market share, right? Considering that factor, if we are categorizing, if market growth rate is high, if market growth rate is low, so which means you've broken market growth rate into two situations. If our market share is high and if our market share is low, how do you categorize? This is also broken down into two. Okay, now when the market growth rate is high and your relative market share is also high, which is this box, a high to high situation, that product is classified as per the BCG matrix as a star. What is it classified as? Star. Why is it classified as a star? Because it's an outperforming product. In market growth rate is fantastic. Your product market share is also amazing. It's doing so fine and great that it's called a star. No product is successful eternally. So sometime when the charm of the product vanishes, and necessarily need not be the charm, over a period of time, see, market growth rate slowed down, but people are still liking my product so much. So I didn't lose my market share. Even when market is high or low, people are still sticking to my product. That high market share I am retaining, right? That is called a cash cow. Like how you take milk out of the cow, here this product is a cow for you, which is not giving you milk, but it is giving you cash. Right? That's why the product is termed as a cash cow. What is a cash cow? Is a product, even in a low growth rate market, it helps you hold a high market share. On the other side is a product where the market growth rate is low, your product also is low, it's called a dog. It's classified as dogs. Right? They're not bad. Right? Dogs are not bad. They're also SBUs. They make money to suffice themselves, that's all. But with them there is no profit. Right? Then what is the point? Can we sell off these dogs and get the money and invest that money elsewhere? That must be an opportunity cost which we will be enjoying, right? So, but one of the most critical boxes here is this one, where the market potential to grow is very high, but somehow you are not able to pick up that share. Why? You don't know that. That's why we are calling it a question mark. What are we calling it as? A question mark. Star, cash cow, dogs and question mark. How are you categorizing this? It's like when I introduce a product and if it's successful, it turns out to be a star. Stars over a period of time turn cash cows, and finally as time goes on, they become dogs. Same way, when I introduce a product, if it fails, it becomes a question mark. But of late, something is wrong. Is the market good? Yes, somehow I am only not able to figure out what's going wrong. If I figure out that and tune it, that will turn out to be a star. And from there again the cycle will start. If a product is initially successful, itself becomes star, over a period of time it will become cash cow, dog and out. Initial days itself is a question mark. You need to try and find it to convert it into a star. Something is there. Maybe you didn't do the marketing properly, or maybe people are not aware of something. It's not successful. Understood? Now tell me, you have all the money. What are the options that you have with the money? Tell me that. Can we invest money? Can we protect our money? Like we already invested in certain things. Can we keep quiet protecting them? Can we take back our money slowly? Slowly, bit by bit, can we take back? And can we take it out completely? So guys, at the end of the day, BCG matrix after it's being constructed, it leaves us with 4 options. 4 options under BCG. What are the 4 options under BCG? Build, hold, harvest and divest. Build is nothing but, in other words, to invest. Hold is not doing anything. Which one will you hold? Now tell me, comparing these two, what will you do with each of them? Stars? What will you do with stars? Build. You got more investment in stars because only when they require high investment, otherwise how will they go? So stars require investment, you got to build them. Quietly hold them is cash cows because without much of nonsense, they'll still keep giving you great returns. The immediate thing that you need to divest is what? Dogs. Dogs are to be divested. What will you do with the question mark? You have 2 things. Either you can build on that or harvest on that. Try building for some time. See, and one more thing is there. If you have a cash basket next to you and you are going on investing in a question mark, one day if you put your hand, nothing will be there in the basket. Cash trap. Without knowing where that product is taking you, you went on to invest into a question mark. It led to a cash trap. We shouldn't be in a position. So when you are going on investing, it's not giving you any signals. It's an indication or a thing that you need to okay, I think it's time. Let's not divest and come up from that. Slowly harvest. Pull back all our money slowly. Are you understanding all the options and all that? Right, let's first read the theory and then see. This looks like it has some drawbacks also. We will catch up towards the end. Everybody start discussing the Boston Consulting Group. It's also called the growth share matrix. Check that out. The BCG growth share matrix is the simplest way. What is it? The simplest way to portray a corporation's portfolio of investments. Growth share matrix is also known for its cow and dog metaphors, which is popularly used for resource allocation in a diversified company. Using the BCG approach, a company classifies its different businesses on a 2-dimensional growth share matrix. Underline, on a 2-dimensional growth share matrix. Yeah, 2-dimensional. What are the 2 dimensions? On the vertical axis, that is here, what did we take? Yes, on the vertical axis we take market growth and provide the measure of market attractiveness. The horizontal axis is talking about relative market share. Means, hey, don't miss the word relative. How much is our market share? That is what is more important here. Everybody, are you getting that? Horizontal axis represents the relative market share and serves as a measure of company strength in the market. Using the matrix, organizations can identify 4 different types of products or SBU as follows. What are those? Stars are products or SBUs that are growing rapidly. They need heavy investment to maintain their position and finance their rapid potential. They represent the best opportunities for expansion. Underline, represent best opportunities for expansion. They represent best opportunities for expansion. The next one is what? Cash cow. What's a cash cow? Cash cow is a low growth. Market is not supporting you to grow. It's a low growth, high market share businesses or products. Underline, low growth, high market share business or products. They generate cash and have low cost. Fantastic products. They generate cash and they have low cost. They are well established, absolutely successful and need less investment to maintain their market share. They are established, successful and need less investment to maintain their market share. In the long run, when the growth rate slows down, stars become cash cows. Underline, stars become cash cows. Then talk about question marks. Question marks, sometimes called problem children or wildcats. Both of them don't listen. Not in our control. Question marks, sometimes the problem children or wildcats, and a low share in high growth rate markets. When a high growth rate market is there, I think it's a good time to grow. Why the hell are you not growing? Some problem is there with you all. Find out what that is. They require a lot of cash to hold their share. They need heavy investment with underline low potential to generate back cash. With low potential to generate cash. Question marks. Guys, I told you, don't leave them like that. Go on spending on them like that. One day basket will be empty. What is that called? Cash trap. Underline that line. Question marks, if left unattended, will lead to a cash trap. Question marks, when left unattended, will lead to a cash trap. Since growth rate is high, increasing it should be relatively easier. Since growth rate is high, increasing it should be relatively easier. It is for those businesses to turn them stars and then to cash cows when the growth rate reduces. It is for those businesses to turn them up. You got to do it, and that's exactly how you win this whole story. Get it? Star, cash cow, dogs, question marks. Everybody, what's the last one? Dogs. Low growth rate, low market share. I think they're dead. These are in the decline phase. There's nothing that you can do about. They may generate enough cash to maintain themselves, but that's not what we are in business for. They may generate enough cash to maintain themselves, may not break even. You came to do business to break even. What's the point? Sir, you are anyway not losing. No. So, sell it. That money will come. Use that money elsewhere. At least there's a better opportunity cost. You might end up making something. Sometimes they need cash to survive. Sometimes they could be a source of trouble. That time what you will do? Okay, till the time they are sufficing themselves is fine. But when they start asking you, come on, invest in me now, and be like a debt product, reading investment, waste of time and money. Dogs should be minimized by way of divestment or liquidation. Divestment means selling portion of a business. Liquidation means complete business. Okay, don't worry, we will read them in next chapter completely. Look at one example for ITC. ITC's hotel business, agriculture business, paper board, packaging, all are stars for them. Because amazing money is coming from all of those, they're all stars. Look at cigarettes, right? They're cash cows. Demand won't come down. People won't quit smoking irrespective of what you tell them, right? Your process is set. Market may go high, low, whatever it is. Cigarettes always, market is tend to be low. High demand is there, they won't tell like that, right? So, it's not a product for health. So, they definitely won't recommend it. But still, you create it, left it. It's going to fetch you money as long as you continue to hold on. They are into FMCG, food. You know, ITC had something called Chopal. ITC, like how Reliance had Fresh. Not even a lot of us know that because that was not really successful. It was a question mark. Okay, like how Reliance has Fresh and how more supermarkets are there. Like ITC also had ITC Chopal. But it was not successful at all. They entered into selling vegetables and all. It was not successful for them. So you didn't see outlets break up, open and all that. Like how Reliance had a great potential to open stores everywhere. They couldn't capitalize. So it was not a great product for them. FMCG in safety matches, lifestyle retailing, packaged foods. ITC was into that also. They're all gone. So not much of that. Understood? So I hope you understood what these star, cash cow, dogs and question marks mean. Everybody, are you clear about these? Yes. Let's continue to read. What are the options available for us? As I told you here, what are the options available? Once the organization have classified the products or SBUs, it must determine what role each will play in future. What role each will play in future? 4 strategies you can do with them. Build, hold, harvest and divest. What are you doing? See there. Build. Here the objective is to increase the market share. That means you need more investment. Here the objective is to increase the market share even by foregoing some kind of a short-term earnings in favor of building a strong future with large market share. Talk about holding. Underline, preserve your market share. Don't sell anything. Don't do anything funny. Just stay wherever you are. Okay? Hold. Harvest. Here the objective is to increase, underline, short-term cash flow regardless of the long-term effort. Sell portion of a business or sell something, do something. I want immediate cash flow. Maybe selling assets. Selling asset liquidation for cash. And divest is to underline, sell or liquidate the business because you can use it as a better alternative elsewhere. That means there is a better opportunity situation, you can use it there. Everybody, are you understanding? Now, let me ask you one question. Tell me how easy it is to find market share. What is market share? I divided by entire market, correct? I means whatever my business is divided by the entire market. First you tell me, now if this is the entire market, this piece is what we are sharing, okay? How the hell do you know that this is the market? Practically, is it possible to know how many firms are there in the market, how many of them are dealing the same business as you do, in that what is your share? How the hell will you calculate? Okay, it's a very good model to look out, but it has its own challenges. Everybody catch up with that. The growth share matrix has done much to help strategic planning study. However, there are problems and limitations in this method. Like what? BCG matrix can be difficult. Underline difficult. BCG matrix can be difficult, time consuming. BCG matrix can be difficult, time consuming and costly to implement. Management may find it difficult. To define SBUs. What is a key business? Everything is looking like a key business. So you might sometimes not know what to decide as an SBU. Underline, find it difficult. Management may find it difficult to define SBUs and measure market share and growth. It also focuses on classifying. What? Current businesses. It also focuses on classifying current businesses, but provide little advice for future planning. Underline, provide little for future planning. They can lead the company to placing too much emphasis. On market share, growth through entry into attractive markets. This can cause, underline, unwise expansion. Into hot, new, risky ventures or giving up on established ones very easily. A well-established business is there. Just because you classified it as a dog, you divested it. What nonsense. You might, sir, it fell in that classification, sir. Maybe you did wrong classification, who knows. So sometimes you might end up giving up on a well-established business or thinking that something is a star, sir, it's fantastic, you entered into a question mark. Right, you enter into a hot, new, risky venture where you're not fetching. So BCG has its own set of problems. You understand what I'm talking about? So that is about the Boston Consulting Group matrix. What they propose, classify your entire business into what? Classify the entire into 4 categories. Stars, question marks and dogs. How many parameters are we considering? 2. What is that? Market growth rate and relative market share. So taking 2 parameters and then comparing. How many options the BCG matrix is giving? Build, hold, harvest. But don't you think this matrix by inherent looks like very extreme situations? See, market, will it be high always? Will it be low always? Where is an intermediate situation? So it's never looking like a very realistic. You get what I'm saying? Right, jump a couple of pages, get to the GE model. Right, we'll come back to ANSOF and ADL, don't worry. Jump to GE model, General Electric model. General Electric model or the General Electric matrix. The GE matrix. It's called the stoplight strategy model. Now I'm going to tell you, guys, concentrate. Story is same. Yeah, options are same. Let us redefine the story. So what GE did, GE this time in association with another leading firm called McKinsey, they came out with another matrix. This time, market growth is a very subjective term. You don't know what that is. So therefore, market growth is replaced by a term called market attractiveness. What is it called as? Market attractiveness. Same market on the y-axis, but and how good is your business? Don't take your share and all. I don't think it's working. So what we'll do is what? We'll take business attractiveness. What will we take? We'll take business attractiveness. How attractive is our business? So you're taking market attractiveness and business attractiveness. What's the difference between BCG and this? Market growth has been replaced by market attractiveness. And relative market share been replaced by how good our business attractiveness. And we are not just talking about high and low alone, we are also introducing medium, high, medium and low. So this time it is not a 2 by 2 matrix, it is a 3 by 3 matrix leading you to 9 cells. Sir, what are we supposed to do in this matrix? Now let's catch up with what are we supposed to do here. Now you tell me, when there's a fantastic, that is attractive market with attractive business proposition, what will you do in that? You will go and invest in that or not? Very good. And then you have a very decent doing business, medium business into a high market. I will still continue to invest. My business is dull, but market has a great prosperity. Is there a chance that my business will improve? Yes. So should I quietly protect myself for some time instead of hold? Can I call it protect? Yeah, invest is called protect. Right? So it's a new business we're talking about, where market having great attractiveness. New business. People are now only looking up to it. Something like we introduce a new smartphone or a new tablet or something like that. The business also is a fantastic one. So that you invest into that. And then, but kind of a business where the business attractiveness is low, like cigarettes. Coming back to the same example. Attractiveness is not great, but market is always there for it. So I want to kind of stay there, that's all. Protect my business. Don't do any damage. Protect yourself enough. What did you do with high to medium? Medium to high also you will do the same thing. Because the market is okay. It's not great, it's not bad. But at the same time, a product is a fantastic product. So I will still invest in my product. Market attractiveness is good. Fantastic. Decent. My business is also decent. So I can still continue to invest. Correct? Now, the only problem there in this box to invest is, I'm ready to invest. Is anything wrong? Is anything wrong looking in investing? No, not at all. Because my business is fair enough. My market is also doing good. So tell me, but both of them, do they have a potential of going up? Do they have potential of going up? Yes, there is a chance. Is there also a chance of falling down? So in business, do we follow anticipated gains or conservatism? So should I invest here or shut my mouth? Because I should just stay there in the business. Why? Because this is not a great time to invest, only for a reason that I am being conservative. See, if medium becomes high, automatically I will jump to invest. It's not an issue. But if medium becomes low, it's a dangerous thing for me. So ideally, the only reason why I am not introducing any money newly in the center situation is that I want to stay stable. Protect. You have a dull business. It's almost done. Market is not great. I think it's, you don't have to sell it and run away. You slowly come out from them. Right? Harvest. Keep liquidating the assets. Slowly move out. High to low, you protect it. So obviously low to high also you will protect yourself, because right now the market is low, but there is a chance that it can become medium and high later. So right now stay calm, hold your nerves, wait for the right time to come, then you can jump. Medium to low, we harvested. So low to medium also we do the same thing, because our business is fine, but market is not offering great, no prospects also. So I think it's good time to get out slowly. Low to low, like dogs, there is no second thought, sell off that business, waste of money. You understand what we are trying to do here? Guys, this is again, if you look at the seriousness of the story, quadrant wise, where market is high and medium, and business also high and medium, we have a situation of investing here. Watch out. Do you see this? This piece. And there is always been protect to this quadrant, because this is a dull quadrant. Harvest and divest are not so encouraging situations. This is more a realistic presentation of the situation when compared to BCG, because these measures are even more easier to catch up with. Everybody, are you understanding what we are discussing here? Come on, let's look at it. The GE model developed by the GE company in association with the McKinsey company is similar to the BCG matrix. Underline just similar. However, there are differences. Firstly, what replaces what? Market attractiveness replaces market growth, and business attractiveness, that is competitive strength, replaces the market share as a dimension by which competitive position of each SBU is assessed. This is also used. This also uses two factors, like market attractiveness and business attractiveness, high, medium and low. So don't by heart the matrix. Do you know what we are supposed to do in each of these cases? What are the four options for them? Invest, protect, harvest, divest. No, don't mix up the words. Invest, protect, harvest and divest. Build, hold, harvest and divest. Don't write these in those boxes. Understood? Be very clear about it. Everybody, are you clear? Yeah, please read out for me what are the two factors here in the G matrix. Market attractiveness and business attractiveness. And then what are you doing with these situations? You are investing, protecting, harvesting or divesting depending upon the concerns. Clear everybody? Continue reading. Each of the above two factors are rated according to a criteria such as following. The criteria used to rate market attractiveness and business position assigned different ways because some criteria underline are more important than others. Which business is important will define based on some criteria. Okay? Then each SBU is rated with respect to all criteria. Then each SBU is rated with respect to all criteria. Finally, overall ratings for both factors are calculated. For each SBU based on these ratings. Each SBU is labeled as underline high, medium or low. Based on these ratings, each SBU is labeled as high, medium or low with respect to A, market attractiveness and B, business position. Understood? Every organization has to make decisions. About how to make its limited resources use most effectively. What is it called as? Optimum utilization. That's where the planning models can help determine which SBU should be stimulated for growth, which one to be maintained as it is, and which one should be eliminated, which is divest. Where you should invest, where you should protect, where you should divest. Hey everybody, are you understanding what these matrices are teaching? Alright, that's exactly what it is. So understood the Boston Consulting Group matrix and GE matrix? Yeah, clear everybody? You understood the difference between that and this? Right, come back to Ansoff's product growth matrix. Let's look at the third portfolio model. We're talking about Ansoff product growth matrix. What about it? What about Ansoff product growth matrix? The Ansoff product growth matrix proposed by Igor Ansoff. Igor Ansoff came up with a fantastic matrix. What does he talk about? He takes two things, right? Like what are you doing? Are you already there in business? Are you coming newly to the business? So he's talking about existing, again, markets. We're talking about markets. We're talking about products. Existing markets, new markets, existing products, new products. I want everybody to concentrate on this. It's a very, very simple matrix and you got to use this later, so I want everybody to focus. Ansoff product growth matrix, product and market growth. Now guys, you are introducing an existing product into an existing market. Like tell me, for example, I'm introducing a new toothpaste. Toothpaste is an existing product? For which already existing market is there or not? Because I am introducing a new toothpaste, will 10 people start brushing newly from tomorrow? No, like that means it's a logged market. 100 people are already there, for example, let's say in that market, all 100 are already using a product. Then sir, why will they buy your product? That's exactly what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I have to advertise something which is quite unique from the others to draw customers from that 100 only. You understand what I'm saying? So I am entering into a closed market which is called market penetration. What is the strategy here? Market penetration. Market penetration is a strategy where, what is that I am doing? I am introducing an existing product into an existing market. On the other side, completely. I am introducing a new product into a new market. It's an innovation. People have never seen this. So the people also don't know. Products also know. It's absolutely going into new lines called as diversification. What is diversification? Completely entering into a new market with absolutely new product for which there are no whereabouts. Right now we are going to create that market. Right now we are going to emphasize on the product. Everything is now going to happen. Right? Which is what is about diversification. But now if you look at the other two boxes, one of them is existing, one of them is new. Okay, I will tell you what is the logic first, then there is a blind way of remembering that, we will go with that also. Now, you have an existing market. When you say existing market, do people know about your product already? Yes. Do people know about your product already? Existing market is already there, people are using. For example, smartphones. Do already people know about phones? Yes. So it's an existing, there is an existing market for phones? Yes. But yes, I came up with an altogether new product with enhanced features. Is it a new product? Yes. So guys, if I am entering into a existing market with a new product, should I focus on improving my product, or should I go and tell people who already know that phone is there? Should I go and educate people that phone is a new device and all? No, already they know. So what is that I am trying to do here? Develop my product. So if I am introducing a new product into an existing market, I will do product development. What is it called? Product development. Same way, existing product means the product is there. I sold it in Hyderabad. I want to sell it in Bangalore. In Bangalore, people don't know that the product is there. I want to expand to Bangalore, Chennai and other metros. So I'm going up there. Okay. Geographically, I'm moving on to a new location. Should I go there and create market, or should I go and tell about my product? My product is fine. I want to find a market there. So where I'm introducing an existing product into a new market, that is called market development. That's all. It's a simple matrix. 4 situations: market penetration, market development, product development and diversification. In other words, simply what you need to remember is, whatever is new, develop that. In other case, product is new, so develop the product. In this case, market is new, so develop that. Okay, you understood the fundamental logic also, right? In order not to make a mistake in the exam, simply remember that. Okay? Existing to existing is called what? Penetration. Because already the market is closed. Hey, 10 people are not going to wake up tomorrow for me to brush because I introduced a toothpaste. Understood? It's already a closed market. 100 people are there in that market. I have to attract people from who are using. So they have to give up a paste and use mine to test whether my product is good or not. And that is how I enter into the market. It is called what? Market penetration. Let's start reading about Answer product growth matrix. Answer product growth matrix uses, with the use of matrix, you can get a fair idea about how its growth depends upon markets in new or existing products in both new and existing markets. Underline new existing products with new existing markets. The product or market growth is underlined a portfolio planning tool for identifying the company's growth opportunities. Understood? We will come back to the example. I will leave that example to you. You can read and understand. It shouldn't be a real problem. Let me explain you all the 4 situations. First up, what is penetration, guys? Existing to existing. Market penetration refers to a growth strategy. Market penetration refers to a growth strategy where the business focuses on selling existing products into existing markets. Underline existing products into existing markets. Market penetration refers to a growth strategy where the business focuses on selling existing products into existing markets. Penetration might require greater spending. Penetration what? Might require greater spending on advertising or personal selling. Overcoming competition in a mature market. Overcoming competition in a mature market requires an aggressive promotional campaign supported by a pricing strategy designed to make the market unattractive for competitors. Penetration is also done by an effort on increasing usage by existing customer. Underline increasing usage by existing customers. You know what is market development as well? So is it a new market or new product? When I am developing market, it's a new market, which means this situation, right? Let's watch out. Market development refers to a growth strategy where the business seeks to sell its existing products into new markets. It is a strategy for company growth. It is a strategy for company growth by identifying and developing new markets for current company products. This strategy may be achieved through new geographical markets. This strategy may be achieved through new geographical markets, new product dimensions or packaging, new distribution channels, or different pricing policies to attract different customers or create new market segments. Underline, create new market segments. Alright, up next is what? Product development. What do you mean by product development, guys? Product development refers to a growth strategy. Product development refers to a growth strategy where business aims to introduce new products into existing markets. In its strategy for company growth by offering modified or new products to current market. So already people are aware, people are there. So you have to develop your product and give them. This strategy may require development of new competencies and requires business to develop, underline, modified products which can appeal to the existing market, like how car companies do. Right? They come up with new features in car, new models, like that has to appeal to the existing market. Understood? So they'll change the car's outlook, they change the boot space, or they change the seating, or they give you extra leg room, doing something, right? Try to kind of shape it up so that there is a development in the product. The people already who know there are market for that product, they will get an opportunity to see a new product, so they might want to buy that. Last one is the most riskiest out of the four. It's about completely entering into a new space where you have relatively no experience to deal with. What is it called as? Yes, diversification. What is diversification? Diversification refers to a growth strategy. Diversification refers to a growth strategy where a business markets new products in new markets. Underline, business markets new products in new markets. It is a strategy by starting up or acquiring businesses, underline, outside the company's current products and markets. Outside the company's current products and markets. This strategy is risky. Oh, why? This strategy is risky because it does not rely on either the company's successful product, because it's altogether a new product, or its established market. You are not touching your established market, you are neither using your existing product. You are venturing out completely into a new market. It's all the risk that you are taking in this case. Everybody, are you understanding? As market conditions change over time, a company may shift product market growth strategies. You can shift from anything to anything. What are the four options? Igor, answer, producer. Market penetration, market development, product development, diversification. What is market penetration? Existing product into existing market. New product into existing market is called product development. New market to an existing product is called market development. New to new is called diversification. Everybody, are you clear about it? Yes, I want everybody to go through, take a couple of minutes and go through all these three portfolio strategies. We have one left called the ADL matrix. Right? So before I do that, I want everybody to go through all the three that we discussed right now. Then we'll go about discussing the ADL matrix. What about the Arthur D. Little matrix? I'll discuss in a minute. I want you to go through that. Alright, let's look at the last one. It's the ADL matrix. So, what is ADL matrix is named after the person who put up. His name is Arthur D. Little. Right. ADL matrix derived from the name Arthur D. Little is a portfolio analysis method that is based on the product's life cycle. Tell me what are the four stages in product life cycle? Introduction. Yeah. He changed the name. I mean, he can't change the stages because they are the only four. But he changed the way they are pronounced. Right. He called introduction. That is introduction as embryonic. That means it's in the embryo stages. Embryonic is growth, maturity and aging. Decline he called as aging. Okay, so what are the four stages? Embryonic, growth, maturity and aging. Now, considering these 4 stages, wait, everybody concentrate. It's a very, very well built matrix. Okay, you saw a 2 by 2 matrix, you saw a 3 by 3 matrix, again you saw a 2 by, this is a 5 by 4, a 20 box matrix. It's something very interesting how we built up all the situations. Now watch out. See, every company will go through this life cycle. True? Yes. But every company will also have a competitive position. Sometimes a company may be a weak competitor. Sometimes it's be the dominant in the market. So he classified the range of companies as dominant, strong. Dominant companies are the best in the market, nobody is stopping them. On the top, strong companies whose financial condition is very strong, right, whose products are very successful. Favorable companies are those which are making profits, which are decent, which are doing good for themselves. And then we have tenable companies which are manageable, that is kind of break even, achieving situation. And then we have ultimately the weak companies struggling to find their mark in the market. Now the question is, how will a dominant company behave in these 4 stages? How will a strong company behave? How will a favorable company behave? Tenable and weak company. How will each of this company behave in each of this situation? That's what his matrix is all about. Because definitely every company has to fall somewhere in this 5 and every company has to be in any of these 4 stages. So you will definitely find yourself an answer here in this 20 boxes. Are you understanding? Let's try and understand. I am going to explain you one company situation in all 4. You try to do and tell me what each of those are. Come on everybody, let's start with a dominant company. A dominant company, look at dominant company, embryonic, growth, maturity, aging. These 4 stages. How will a dominant company behave? Try to grow fast growth. Build barriers. Build barriers means what? Don't let others come in and act offensively. Do they have the money to act offensively? Do they have the name, money and all that? So a dominant company, when it's introducing a new product, it will stop others from entering and it will act offensively on all others. Act offensively. On the other side, same story. Growth. We're talking about on the growth phase. A dominant company didn't stop in embryonic stage. What will they stop in growth stage? Growth is the best phase normally. And they are a dominant company. Will they listen to anybody? No. They will grow fast, attain cost leadership, renew your position, defend your position. Here also you continue to act offensively. Sir, what about they reaching maturity? Their product reached maturity. They didn't. So they will still continue to act offensively only. Defend your position. Till how many days you can hold your position? Hold it. Attain cost leadership, renew, try to grow fast, and here also act offensively. Sir, time over, sir. We are moving up to aging. How will a dominant company behave in aging stage? Defend your position. Till how long you can continue? Continue. Renew. Try to do something new. Okay. Focus. Focus means targeting a particular group of people. See, by now you are going through all these stages. How many ever products have come in the market, irrespective of that, some batch will be there who will stick to your product. For obvious reasons. Hold them. Right? Try to focus on them. And if it's not working, consider withdrawal. They didn't say withdraw and get lost. You might want to consider withdrawal. Are you understanding? Because money is abundant, they will do such fantastic things. Slightly at a lesser stage is a strong company. What will they do? When a strong company is introducing a product, come on. Yeah, guys, if you are a strong company, the very fact that you are strong when compared to others is because you might have some uniqueness. What is it called? Core competence, which is in the form of differentiation. You show uniqueness in your product when you introduce a new product. Do differentiation and try to grow fast. Then continue that unique feature. In growth stage, don't give up. Because when you are growing, if somebody else comes up with the same unique feature, your growth will come down. So don't let that happen. Differentiate. Try to keep the cost low and attack small firms. When you attack small firms only, you will continue to be a stronger firm. Up next in the battle is about a mature stage where you will again, see this time you almost are done with the story. You will still continue to differentiate But one of the factors here is doing something funny here will not take you anywhere. So what you're supposed to do is, grow with the industry. Leave it to the pace. It is taking you, let it take. Grow with industry. Don't put new efforts. Don't do advertising. Don't do marketing campaigns and all. Waste of money. Already your product is mature. Slowly let it grow with the industry. How long it can survive, let that survive that long. Everybody, are you following? A dominant company itself consider withdrawal. You are just a strong company. So should you also in the fourth stage find niche. Niche means a target group. What did we say? Focus. Same thing. Niche is a target group. You find your niche, stick to them only. Hold your niche, and when time comes, get lost. Okay, not get lost, harvest. Come out. Everybody, are you following the story? Hey, are you understanding or not? What is the behavior of different companies in different life cycle stages? That's what he beautifully plotted. Now look at a favorable company. Are they doing amazingly well? No, they're doing well. Are they doing bad? No. They're a decent doing business. What will they do in the introduction? They should also differentiate. See, in their first two stages, there is no option. Differentiate. Here also you differentiate. But find your target market. Focus. Focus on your target market. It's very important. Who is your... Now guys, don't worry about cost leadership, differentiation and focus. I will explain you these three strategies in the 5th chapter, where you can come back and revisit this matrix. It looks more easy that time. But right now just understand focus means targeting on a particular group of people. Differentiation is about achieving uniqueness. Low cost producer is cost leadership. Okay, now continue. A favorable company in its mature stage, it will do whatever possible. See there. Focus, differentiate, harvest, find your niche, hold niche, turn around. Means to try and give one last chance to any growth. Grow with industry and attack small firms. Whatever is possible, everything they did. What all they did? Find niche, hold niche and harvest. Or they also did grow with industry. Because it's time, it's done. They can't do anything. And this fourth stage, they definitely have to harvest. Come out. Do turnaround. Now turnaround is a strategy. Turnaround is a strategy where you're trying to come back, give a comeback dramatically. If it's working out, fantastic. If it's not working out, harvest and come out. These two are companies which can't do anything dramatically, because one is a normal break-even company, other one is the dead, weak. Okay. Now fourth one, tenable company. Guys, right from day one, can they do aggressive promotional campaigns? Oh, can they introduce their product with some great launch and all that? Nothing. They will introduce the product. See, these are people, like these guys know to swim, but they're tired. So then what do? Grow with the water flow. It will take you somewhere, no? You're not applying your energy because you don't have it. But that doesn't mean that you don't know do business. You are there. So you know to swim. Swim. So when you know swimming, you won't drown. At the same time, I don't want to use my energy. So I will go with the flow of the water, which is exactly what these people are doing. What is that they're doing? Grow with industry. Grow with the industry. Then a tenable company in its growth stage. See, when you are already a tenable company, you don't try to cater to the whole market, do something amazing and all that. Find your target group, find niche, hold them, serve them. Because once it clicks with them, then you start making more profit. Then you can think of jumping to other lines and all that. So, if your tenable company is growing, it should find its niche and hold niche. Don't forget your target group. Hold niche and don't do anything dramatic. Grow with industry. Grow with industry. Understood? Then a tenable company reaching maturity. A very bad situation. Already I am okay. And in that situation, my product also reached maturity. So what I am supposed to do? Try and do a turnaround. Take me back at the growth stage. Try and do a turnaround. Works? Very good. Otherwise, continue to hold niche. Retrench means to cut off. Retrench is to cut down and come out. Retrenchment is retrenchment is a major strategy. In that only turnaround, divestment, harvest, all these are there part of that only. They couldn't survive here only. Here what they will survive? Straight away divest. No second thoughts. A tenable company's product, if it's aging, if they are holding that product, hey, the losses that they are coming from this product will be covered by something else. What is the fun in holding that product? Divest, sell off that business. Look at the fate of a weak company. Weak company right from day one. While a weak company introduces a product, there's nothing that they can do apart from growing with industry. Because they can't do aggressive promotional campaign. They can do nothing. So they're just growing with industry. But if they are doing good and they reach the growth stage, right? Watch out what they do. In growth stage, they are doing turnaround. What nonsense? Turnaround. See, a weak company, when it reaches maturity, it will withdraw. Here though, it will withdraw undoubtedly. Here they are telling a weak company in growth stage, they ask you to turn around in the growth stage itself. You should understand, even if the demand is good, people are excessively buying your product, you need to have working capital, you need to have machinery, you are a weak company, how will you cater all that? So try doing some turnaround if you can really do turnaround, sell assets, do some liquidation, do some great process if you can. If it works, amazing, otherwise withdraw. Otherwise withdraw. There's nothing that we can do about, you got to withdraw. Everybody, are you understanding what the story is all about here? Yes, that's the point. Clear? But now, I hope everybody understood what each company does in different stages. But my question is, concentrate on this. This is the most important catch in the whole matrix. A weak company in growth stages, it couldn't survive. It withdrew here only. Okay? Then ideally, it should be dash no here. A company that couldn't cross the stage, how is it coming here? Okay, chalo, if it comes here also, at least the last one should be a dash. How will a weak company reach aging? I'm just asking, how will a weak company reach aging stage? If you are weak, you are not able to tolerate growth only. What will you reach aging? So that they should have told harvest. They said withdraw. Withdraw means coming out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you are a weak company. You are withdrawing here itself. Okay, I'm just telling, if you withdraw here itself, you should be dash no here in this case. What you are forgetting to understand is one such fantastic matter. I'll tell you why. Now I'll show you the coincidence. You got to understand here. See this. Weak company, in the first stage, what is it doing? Everybody concentrate. The most important part of this whole matrix. Weak company, what is it doing in the first stage? It actually grew with the industry and it made its mark. Now guys, when a weak company could grow with industry and make its mark, will it not become a tenable company? You are only looking the movement inside this. You have to move from the company's point of view also. Yeah? Are you understanding? A weak company, it grew with the industry for some time. By the time the weak company actually, that product reached growth stage, it became a tenable company. So you should view this box. And a tenable company, when it grew amazingly. See here, grow with industry. Are you able to catch up one point now? See, I'll show you what they are doing. A weak company which started to grow with industry, if it becomes a tenable company in the growth stage, there also it will grow with industry. When the product reaches maturity, if it becomes a favorable company, there also it will grow with industry. And when this company tends to become strong, if the product is reached, by then you would have already created a niche. It works like this also. Understood? Same is the story on the opposite side. A favorable company is there. A favorable company's product already is there in maturity stage. Huge fire. Lot of property damages, asset damages. Favorable company became a weak company. So from here to here, what is the option? Immediate. You don't have an option. You have to withdraw. So you understand? This matrix can move anywhere. Any company which was any company can turn out to be any other company. Understood everybody? That's the whole point here in this matrix. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So which is what the benefit of understanding the ADL matrix is. How different companies behave in different situations. Are you clear, everybody? What are the 4 portfolio models, guys? Boston Consulting Group matrix, the BCG matrix. You have a GE matrix, the ANSOP product growth matrix, and the ADL matrix. How to allocate what? Right? I want everybody to go through this concept deep down very clearly. Right? This chapter has a very important context. I want everybody to go through the 7 competitor analysis. Yeah? 7 competitor analysis points. Then core competencies and how to derive a competitive advantage. And then look for portfolio analysis. Right? There's one last topic in this chapter which we'll cover in our next class, which is about SWOT and TOS analysis. First you got to do about SWOT, and then we'll be doing a TOS, which is a reverse of that analysis, and I will explain you in detail about what we are supposed to do. Everybody, don't forget to revise all the topics. See you in the next class.